Welcome to the Flavor Secrets Kitchen, and welcome back to Alisa Z,
Thank
National iHeart 24/7 Anchor. Did I get it right?
Yeah, we'll take it.
Okay, good. Well, I'm really excited because today we're talking about Passover and the foods associated with it, and we're going to learn a lot about Jewish cooking and kosher and what all those things mean. So what are we going to make today, Alisa?
Oh boy, well, as we talked about before, when we talked on the phone and we've been preparing for today, some people don't realize that just because something's kosher or just because something's kosher for Passover doesn't mean it's not yummy.
Ooh, that never occurred to me.
So, well, and my mother is the queen of cooking for Passover. She starts weeks in advance with things that can be frozen. My father rolls dozens of meatballs and they freeze them, and my mother does baking. But again, what we're going to do is show that we're just cooking. The food just happens to be kosher. It just happens to be kosher for Passover and is so yummy. We're going to make some boneless chicken breasts in a wonderful hazelnut sauce. We're making a carrot ring. We're making a kugel. Traditionally, we make potato kugels, but I like flavors and textures and colors, so we're going to make a potato vegetable kugel.
I'm really excited about that. I have a lot of Jewish friends, and they all talk about their own specific kugels, but no one's ever made one for me.
Well, I'll make it with you instead of for you.
Okay.
How's that?
All right,
Teamwork.
that sounds good.
And then one more thing we're making that I know Chef Lynn is really looking forward to is a flourless chocolate cake. Because on Passover we don't use flour, but we do use other really good ingredients like chocolate. So we'll be making that today as well.
Okay, sounds great. Let's get started. We'll start with the kugel.
All right, well, I know we have our oil heating over here because when we make a kugel, we pour all of the pureed vegetables into an already heated pan before we bake it. So the first thing we're going to do, some people like to grate their potatoes first. For me, I guess I'm a bohemian. I just throw them in. I know you've got a good food processor here, and you told me that this is a special new food processor, right? Because you used to have difficulty with your old one?
Right.
Okay, teach me how to use this one, please.
Well, this one, I used to struggle with it all the time, but it just snaps right in place. And then we just turn it on. It's great.
Like where it says on?
Right.
Magic. I have an astute grasp of the obvious. Look at that, nice sharp blade. All right, and I'm going to continue to add potatoes while this is going, if that's all right. Will it handle it?
Okay, so let's talk about everything we'll add to the food processor.
Okay.
Everything goes in there. This is 6 large potatoes.
6 large potatoes. And I'm just going to
keep
going.
a couple of onions, right?
Yes.
A couple of onions just quartered or kind of sliced up.
Yep, just sliced up, because really in the end everything is just going together.
Okay.
So it's all right that we have it all kind of mushed up here.
2 carrots will go in.
2 carrots.
Then 1 zucchini.
Yes, because again we have the nice textures and colors when we add the zucchini and the carrots.
Great.
And then there's an ingredient that we will be putting in a couple things other than the vegetables, but one that I know you've never worked with before, and that's Matzo Meal.
That's right.
Because on Passover we don't use flour.
Actually, I have some down here. Matzo Meal, that's what it looks like. Manischewitz, is that a good brand?
Oh, absolutely.
Did I do well?
You did very well. You can be a Jew by proxy.
I actually had a great time looking for all these kosher ingredients because I went to our kosher, a place I know we can get them called Hiller's, which is near me. You have probably in your area have a store that you know where you can go and get these too. And they have them all arranged in one aisle for Passover.
Yep, all the Passover stuff. Hiller's has a great assortment. There's a store at 10 in Greenfield called One Stop that's an exclusively kosher store.
Oh, cool.
So you can get anything you need for Passover, for any holiday. We're going to let that whir around for a moment, if that's all right. We'll really let it do its job. And once these potatoes start to get a little bit smaller, and I know we have a more manageable glop in there, we'll start adding the other vegetables. We sure that's going to puree all
those? Yeah, it should be fine.
All right. I love it. I'm going to start adding some color, a little bit of texture, a little bit of onion flavor. See how pretty it's starting to look? You can see the flecks.
Just let her go, huh?
Yep, we'll just let her go. And I'm going to wait to put the rest of these in last because I want to leave some of that a little bit coarse so we can see the colors.
Okay.
Just because I love colors, and orange happens to be one of my favorites. Look at that. This is a magic food processor. When I grow up, Someday I want a food processor just like that. All right, I think we're looking great in there. Let's add the rest of these. And then we'll glop it up with our eggs and thicken it a little with our matzo meal and our salt. Salt is very important, obviously, as well when we're dealing with potatoes, because potatoes are certainly bland in and of themselves. So whenever we make a major potato-filled dish, we definitely add plenty of salt.
So I'll turn this oil back on. Usually this is heated in the oven, right?
Yes, usually we heat the oil in the oven.
Because we have this space here, we're heating it here.
We have Chef Lynn's magic
hoping it will
kitchen.
work.
I'm going to let you pour the eggs in so I don't embarrass myself on television.
I'll probably. This isn't a very good.
Oh, better you than me, though.
I could have given you something with a spout.
That was really impressive. A+. All right, and now the oil.
Okay, this is a half a cup of oil, and that was 5 eggs, was it?
Yes, we put 5 eggs, half a cup of oil, and this is our sugar.
2½ tablespoons of sugar.
That I trust myself to pour in.
And a half a cup of matzo meal.
Yep.
So you told me that this matzo meal kind of takes the place of flour, which I was happy to hear because I tasted it and I wasn't too happy.
Well, but as we've discussed in the past, how often do you just taste flour?
I know.
I mean,
but I thought it was like a cracker meal, so I was kind of surprised.
Well, because matzah is pretty much a cracker.
Is it?
So one would think. Yeah, matzah is really unleavened bread. It's flat, it's like a cracker, it's semi-flavorless, just a plain matzah is. And that's why we use it to dress just about anything, or to thicken anything up. It can be dressed up with cream cheese, with jelly, with all kinds of things.
Okay, so matzo meal is just really powdered matzah.
It really is.
Okay.
I think we're...
That's everything.
I think it is. All right, so now I don't know how to use your magic food processor. So
you want me to take this off?
Yes, please.
Okay, it's real hard. All you have to do is flip it off.
She flipped me off. All right, and now is that oil nice and hot?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Here, I can move it over a little closer to you to make it a little bit easier.
Does this just lift off? Because I might let you do that as well, because you're familiar with your food processor, and I don't want to hurl it over my shoulder.
Sideways.
Oh, okay, there we go.
And then do we need to back up? Because
it's sizzling.
Because it's sizzling oil, right?
Check her out. Whee!
Ooh, sizzle, sizzle, sizzle.
Sizzle, sizzle. Isn't that beautiful?
We've got, I think, a little bit too much for our pan here. Because I told you those potatoes were really big.
That's right. Oh, well. That is beautiful. And then we might want to smooth it a little bit with a spoon on top just to make it nice and even.
Here you go.
My turn. Okay. There.
And did we put salt in there?
No, we didn't.
So do we want to add some
unless
salt?
you had it in the other.
I didn't. So maybe we want to sprinkle
Let's
some on the
sprinkle
top.
it just to be safe.
So we don't lose it. Because salt is one of the things that really kicks up flavor.
We need that especially in the potatoes, yes.
Okay.
All right, and that's beautiful, and now it goes in the oven.
All right, it goes in the oven at 400 degrees for an hour.
An hour,
right?
yes.
Okay. So now we're ready to make the carrot ring. Alisa, is this something you would only make on Passover, or would you make this during the year?
Well, I make carrot rings during the year. However, I don't make them with matzo meal during the year.
You make them with what?
I make them with flour and sugar and eggs, but we can't use flour in Passover.
Oh, okay.
So that's why we have to.
Because there's no way flour can be kosher, or what's the reason?
Flour's kosher, but not kosher for Passover. Wheat products you don't use on Passover. We have lots of rules.
I guess.
I'll get you a book.
Okay, I didn't even realize
I'll invite
that.
you to my parents' Seder, and my mother and father will fill you in.
Even better.
Yes, even better. Again, you'll be Jew by proxy. We've discussed this.
Okay. All right, I love that.
So with this, we use the matzo meal, and that's the primary different ingredient. Consequently, when we're using matzo meal, we might use an additional egg because matzo meal is kind of dry. It's more of a drying, binding ingredient than flour is. So that's why we have maybe one more egg than I would use in a carrot ring that I'd make during the year.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And I would like you to follow me around at my house, please, because I love having a sous chef and having everything prepared when I get here.
Yeah.
So we are going to make this carrot ring, and what we've started with is, and I love this, thank you, 6 cooked carrots. Do I guess
actually, I mashed those with this. I felt like a pioneer woman. Usually I put them in
You're
a
not
food
going to hit
processor,
me now,
but
are
I
you?
was, it's a lot harder with this thing.
fingers?
You can.
Okay. Ooh.
Actually, I have a spatula back here if you want.
Oh, too late. Too late. I've used
fine.
my
Here.
fingers. We're going to add the 6 cooked carrots, and then we have 1 onion. This was a sizable onion, so we didn't quite use the whole thing, but I love onions. So we have 1 onion, and then we're also going to add 1/3 cup of parsley. So like our Kugel, this is going to have some really pretty colors going on. And what we want to do is get all of this in the food processor, and we're going to mix
Remember
it
how to
all
do it?
up. Nope. I absolutely don't remember
Take
how
it
to
on
do
there.
this.
And there you
See,
go.
did I
All
do
right.
it? Okay.
And while you're grinding that, I'm going to go get the pan that we're going to put this in.
Perfect. All right, we're just going to mix this all up.
Does this need to be buttered? I think so. Yeah.
You do want to grease the pan, yes.
Okay, and so I have to use the par butter, right?
You absolutely, yes. You have to use a par of margarine. And it was interesting to me when I sent Chef Lynn the recipes and I said we need to use par of margarine. Of all the questions she could have asked, the only question that came back was, what's par of margarine? So I'll tell you what par of margarine is.
Yeah.
Kosher law dictates that you don't cook or serve dairy products with meat products. So in order to bake a lot of things, we can't use butter. So instead we use margarine, which is a non-dairy butter type product. It's not like a country crock or some of those others in the tubs, because those have so much water in them you can't bake with them.
Oh, really?
So when we use a par of margarine, it has the texture and consistency of a butter, but there's no dairy. So we're allowed to use it and serve it along with our chicken and our beef and all of those other products.
It really does, and I was surprised. I mean, it acts like butter and it tastes like butter.
It really does.
I was quite surprised because when I looked at it, I thought, oh my gosh, this looks like lard, and
But
I
we
just
don't
know
we
what
don't
this is
use
going to
lard
taste like.
either.
So this is the one I bought. I had to get
What'd you
3
get?
different people in the store to help me find everything. But
Hiller's,
this one is
Hiller's
called
people are friendly.
Mother's Margarine, and the reason I couldn't find it is it says kosher for Passover, that tiny. I mean, you need a magnifying glass
Yes.
to see it. So I
Well,
had to
I'll
ask
teach you another
someone.
trick. Well, yes, you see the OU, which means kosher.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep, an OU means kosher, and then if there's a little P next to it, that's parov. And,
Okay.
and yes, this also said specifically kosher for Passover, but when you're
yeah.
looking for something that's kosher, you want to look for an OU.
And parv is spelled P-A-R-V-E, but it's also spelled
P-A-R-E-V-E.
P-A-R-E-V-E.
So it's parv or parov.
So
yes.
everyone would know.
Depends upon which side of Woodward you live on. I guess.
Okay, all right.
So we have our parv margarine. And here, look at how pretty this is. See, it's so nice.
Beautiful.
Now, okay, we already took that out. So now what we're going to do is kind of just add everything else into here. We're going to put the margarine. It's so much fun. When my kids see this, they'll say, Mom, I can't believe you're using your fingers. But we're adding our margarine, which is, I forgot how much
a
margarine we
spatula
have.
if you
Yes,
want.
6 tablespoons of parv margarine. So it's a lot. It's really yummy. 3/4 cup of sugar, and so that I don't make a mess, I'm going to let you pour that. Tag,
I
you're
did
it.
it to you again.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think I can. I don't think I can get that in there. I'm just going to cheat.
Oh, well, if
Do
we're allowed to
this.
cheat.
And I still spilled it. Here, want to put the eggs in there too?
Now let's mix this up a little bit first.
Okay.
And then I want to watch you pour the eggs.
Okay, thanks. You want to scrape that down though a little bit, right?
Eventually, once it starts to break that butter up. Margarine, excuse me. I just want, yeah, let's push that margarine down a little bit so it's more likely to get the brunt of the blade.
Okay.
How's that for kitchen talk? The brunt of the blade. I'm going to break it up a little bit. If you want, in the future, you can soften the margarine as well, and then it'll mix
And should we scrape
very
that
nicely.
down a little bit? So
Yeah, let's scrape it. Let's do this.
still don't need that spatula.
Okay, now the dry ingredients. We have our matzo meal. Again, I don't know how to take this lid off. Do I push this? Ah, there
Yep,
we
that's
go.
it.
Okay, so we're going to add the matzo meal. And we'll add our water now as
A
well.
lot of matzo meal.
It's a whole lot of matzo meal. And then we do want to put a little bit of sugar and maybe some paprika in there, just to
Okay.
taste. Not sugar, excuse me, salt. I'll
Salt.
let you add the salt while I add the paprika.
Okay.
How's that?
How much? A big pinch?
Yeah, let's do a big pinch.
I like a lot of salt.
We're salty.
tastes
Okay,
good.
we're going to do that.
Okay.
Mix that all up. Let's scrape it down a little bit.
So I can see that on every new Jewish bride's wedding registry, there must be a food processor.
A food
Because you
processor.
cannot make
Absolutely.
these meals without
food
them.
Processor and a KitchenAid stand-up for baking as well. All right, let's mix that a tiny bit more, and then we're going to fold in our egg whites because we did separate the eggs at the beginning.
Okay.
But they want to get back together. All right. Think we made them stiff
We got out
enough?
the big guns today. It's hard to get it out of the whisk there, but you can see how
that's
stiff
beautiful.
they are.
Yeah,
They're really
see how
stiff.
stiff those are. That's the magic of egg whites, because they get stiff and they're so light and fluffy. Now I'm going to let you fold these in if that's all right, just because
Okay.
I don't want to get caught on your blade, and I think you will be able to manage that a whole lot better.
Okay, we want to fold them in here, or can I put these to the
You
side?
you can pour that into here and fold them, whatever you want to do.
Pour that into here. I think that will be a lot easier.
Yeah, but the point is we want to fold the egg whites in versus whipping it up. Whip it good.
Okay, so
Should
I
I hold
tried
the
making
blade?
one of these, and it came out a little bit different in color.
Well, I think we really whipped this up heartily.
Okay. I'm not such a hearty whipper.
The other option is to grate the vegetables ahead of time, and then you'll have some flecks of color versus the yellowish, but the texture will still be very wonderful.
Okay.
Or you can add an extra carrot to make it
It's kind of hard
more
to get it all
orangey.
out of this. Okay, so folding means to lighten it up. So we want to fold like this, down and over, until it's all mixed in. And now we'll just put this
And
into
now
the
we
ring.
just pour it into the ring. And we're going to bake that in our oven is preheated to 350, I'm sure, because my sous chef took care of that.
Okay.
So
That's true.
So we'll put it in the oven, preheated to 350, again, a greased pan, and we bake that for 1 hour, and magically it will be yummy.
Okay, and this is actually an angel food pan that I'm using.
Oh, okay.
So
Good to the last plot.
okay, ready to go. Into the oven.
Ta-da!
Okay, I hope you're ready for this. We're going to do two things at once.
Oh, no.
Hope you can keep up. I get to start the cake. And what I'll do first is just melt 4 ingredients together. I love this cake. I was so excited to see the recipe because it's the easiest cake on the face of the earth to make.
It really, and it's yummy.
It really is. And it's like kind of like a big brownie. I just love it. So first of all, 8 ounces of kosher chocolate, which I found in the kosher aisle. I want you to be proud of me. And then
I
I
am.
found kosher chocolate chips.
So proud.
So 4 ounces of the chocolate chips.
You're going to come to Temple with me next week, aren't you?
I don't know. Then I have a cup and a third of sugar.
Okay.
And I have a cup of parve butter, or parev butter. Did I say it right?
Yes, but it's margarine, not butter.
Margarine, you're right.
But
Okay,
it
so
is parve, non-dairy. All this is non-dairy.
all these things are kosher, but I could get them all year, right?
Yes.
So I can, if I need to cook for somebody who's kosher, I can do it all year long.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'll just put this on low heat and melt this all down while you
Perfect.
start the chicken.
Oh, I get to start the chicken. I'm going to make boneless chicken breasts in a really wonderful hazelnut sauce. Now, the beginning part, well, it's all very easy, but the first part, some people take their boneless chicken halves and they pound them. I don't know if I'm lazy, tired, or old, but I don't see the point, so I don't do it. So I have 8.
I can tell you the point.
I had a feeling she would.
It really doesn't make that much difference because you'll make sure they're cooked through, but
Right.
if when you pound things so they're all even, they cook through at exactly the same rate. Tip,
Well,
Chef
fun
Lynn tip.
facts to know and tell from Chef Lynn. So what I'm going to do is take each of these boneless chicken breasts, and I have 8 of them, and I'm just going to dredge them in the matzo meal. In the pan, I have a little bit of olive oil and some parve margarine, and I'm just plunking these in the pan. They'll go in 2 to 3 minutes per side. Since they're not pounded and flattened, maybe 3 minutes per side.
Okay. And how will you know when they're done?
Oh, you're going to tell me the perfect way to know so I don't poison people, right?
By temperature, chicken is at 165, or if you cut through them, you can tell because they'll be all white.
Never serve pink chicken. See, even I know that. Man, how do I turn this up a little bit? Your
Right,
fancy
this way.
schmancy stove. But it's important if you do have a gas stove, you don't want to do this over heat that's too high because you don't want to sear the outside and have the inside raw, obviously.
Right. Now I'm surprised that you don't mix the parve with the matzo meal. Will that taste good?
Mix the what?
The parve with the
The
matzo
margarine?
meal. Uh-huh.
I do have that in here.
Oh, right.
I have oil and I have the margarine.
Because we should go back and explain that. Parve means kosher.
No,
it
parve,
doesn't.
parve means non-dairy.
Okay, so parve means non-dairy. It isn't a brand.
Correct.
And it doesn't mean margarine. So like I learned this. Fish can be parve.
Yes.
Vegetables can be parve.
Yes.
So I learned this yesterday at Hiller's from those wonderful Jewish ladies who helped me find everything.
So nice.
And they gave me these little lectures and talked about what
Yes.
they make with things. And it
Parve
was really
means
interesting.
non-dairy.
Okay, got it.
Because again, we don't serve anything that's dairy with anything that's meat. Fish is like a wild card. You can serve fish with either or. So you could serve fish with butter or with non-buttered items. But chicken
Not on Passover
is...
though.
Oh yeah, you can serve fish on Passover. Gefilte fish is...
With butter?
Yeah, but not if you're serving meat with your dish.
Oh, okay. Got
with
it.
your meal. So if your meal has meat in it, no dairy during the meal.
Okay, got it.
That's the rule. I won't test you.
Oh,
well,
good.
maybe I will.
Oh, good.
Quick, definition of parve.
Never mind.
Non-dairy.
Non-dairy,
easy.
right.
Use it in a sentence. Spell it. Use it in a sentence.
P-A-R-V-E. We are making a meal with parve ingredients.
Very good.
Is that right?
That is. That is, except for the chicken, which is meat. Now I'm turning this possibly earlier than they should because I'm not used to this stove and I don't want to burn either side. So now we're going to let that sit a little bit.
Okay, now show me how to make this delicious sauce. I can't wait to taste it.
It is so, so yummy. So you made me go off camera for a while and now I'm just going to hog the scene because
That's okay.
it's my sauce. But your kitchen, is this turned on? Let's turn this.
You want it on?
I do, please. That
Okay.
would be wonderful. We are making a yummy hazelnut glaze to pour over the chicken breasts that have been sizzling so nicely in the background.
Ooh.
So first what we're going to do, we're going to melt some margarine. We have a half cup parve margarine. There's that word again. What does parve mean?
Non-dairy and non-meat.
A
Oh.
plus, just
Oh.
non-dairy. Non-dairy.
Non-dairy,
Stop.
okay.
Go with your first answer and stop. Parve is non-dairy. So we're going to melt the parve margarine in a saucepan first. And once that's melted, the first thing I'm going to put in will be some toasted hazelnuts to mix that through. I love hazelnuts.
Are
They're-
hazelnuts typical in Jewish dishes? Because you seem to see them a lot.
Well,
German
especially in
dishes, too.
Passover because we don't eat legumes. One of the rules of keeping kosher over Passover is no legumes, and the hazelnut, the filbert, is not a legume. Peanuts are.
Peanuts are legumes.
Yes.
Okay.
So, no peanut butter on Passover.
Ooh.
But hazelnuts are allowed. So we take full advantage of the hazelnut. That was
How about
scary.
if we turn this down?
Our
And
margarine
don't put
does
your
not-
margarine on too high because it has special properties that can't handle it.
Apparently so. We're going to gently melt the margarine.
Okay.
We have angered the margarine.
We left it alone too long.
So I'm sorry, we
Right.
didn't mean to neglect you. He was envious of our compliments about the hazelnut. So right now I'm going to pour these in and mix it around while the margarine continues to melt.
Do you want this on low?
Yes, please. Thank you. Again, I don't generally cook with a gas stove. Is that obvious?
Yeah, it makes a difference.
So we'll melt this all down. This sauce is so easy, provided your margarine is not angered by the process. It's very, very simple. So we're just going to melt that. While the margarine continues to melt, I'm going to add some honey. Calls for 2 tablespoons. And
You're the master of the honey.
I love to be the master of the honey. We're just going to call that 2 tablespoons.
Looks like
because I can.
Generous tablespoon.
Well, you can never have too much honey.
I think so.
I know we're sweet enough, but we don't know who's going to be eating all of this. They may need a little bit of a sweetener. And again, remember, we don't use corn or corn syrup over Passover, so I know that you got the apricot preserves, and they're kosher for Passover. This is Strites, one of the more common brands. I know you got the Mother's Margarine at Hiller's. This is Strites. So we're going to use 2 tablespoons. Is this a tablespoon? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm worried that this handle's going to get hot and burn you.
Thank you.
After the margarine splattering, I don't want to have a lawsuit here.
I'm not that litigious. Send me home well fed, and I think we'll be all right.
That I can do.
Thank you.
No one's ever left here hungry.
I believe that. Not out of this magic kitchen. All right, so as Chef Lynn is so aptly demonstrating, yeah, so all we do is melt and stir and serve all of this together. Once this is all melted together and blended, and it does take a moment to blend because the margarine, I'm seeing a little bit of liquidy. It's overwhelming and overwhelmed. Are we able to turn that up a little bit because we want to reduce this down? We don't want it too liquidy.
Okay, so you'll reduce it for a couple of minutes?
Yes, we'll reduce it for a couple of minutes because then we want it to be that beautiful, see that beautiful brown color we're getting? Mm-hmm. That's what we want the glaze to look like. And then once this is done, we're simply going to spoon it over the chicken, garnish with a little parsley, and poof, we have our boneless chicken breast with hazelnut sauce ready.
Okay, we'll be back in a minute to show you everything finished. Wow, Alisa, this looks fabulous. I can't wait to try it all.
It always amazes me. We do this and then all of a sudden it was ingredients and now it's food. So on each plate, of course, we have a piece of chicken. We put the lovely glaze on there, sprinkled some pretty parsley, a piece of our vegetable potato kugel, a piece of our carrot ring, and then generally we'd have a big salad to go with this as well. Obviously adding some of our yummy vegetables, but also making the plate a whole lot prettier. But this is really a traditional and delicious meal that we can serve at Passover. It's meat. All of these are parve, non-dairy at all, so we're allowed to serve them. And then, of course, the most important course of any meal, the dessert. We have our flourless chocolate cake, and I generally like to put our technical term, a blorp of whipped cream on the side. And here we have these beautiful raspberries as well, and there we have it.
Wait a minute, though. Doesn't that cream blow our kosher idea?
Oh, absolutely not, because it is non-dairy creamer that we're able to whip up.
Oh, okay.
Yes, as long as we make it non-dairy. And remember, dairy doesn't mean not kosher.
Right.
Dairy simply means we can't serve it with meat.
But
we use a parve whipped cream.
I didn't see you do that.
Yes, that's what Rich Whip is all about.
Rich Whip.
And again, thanks to the people at Hiller's, we can find all of these things that we need.
Right. Well, thank you so much. I learned a lot today, and I really appreciate that you came by.
It's always my pleasure. Please have me back again and again and again. I always eat such great stuff, whether I make it or not, as long as I'm in your kitchen.
Thanks. Thank you, Alisa Z. I'm Chef Lynn. Enjoy.